Hey, good evening. Welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, after today, I really have no choice but to make a video and a comment on the difference between us foreigners and the Filipinos. Well, I think the main... Well, I'll tell you what happened today. At dinner, we usually sit down at dinner as a complete family with the girls, with Taliklik and Bibi and Lovely, and with Nanay and Beth and myself, and we also usually have the lady with us who is a relative, never quite sure what Vek is, well, in regards to whether she's a cousin or a niece, or never quite sure. But anyway, she's a part of the family, and she really is the housekeeper. She was going to go to Cebu and work in Cebu, and when we found that out, that's another I don't know, another soapbox area for me, is families splitting up because of financial challenges, and one of the members of the family has to go away and work away and become an OFW. Now, I know that Cebu is only across the water, you know, a couple of hours depending on the ferry that you take, so it's hardly an OFW, but she would have been gone, and her family of Julio and Lan would have suffered because of it. So we invited her to come and help us run Nanay's house, and we all sit and have our dinner in the evening, usually too late for me, because often it can be after 8 o'clock in the evening, sometimes 8:30. Well, tonight we sat down to dinner, and I'm looking at the empty place of Taliklik, and my fun name for Taliklik, because she is kind of regal, princess-like, is I call her Pandora. So my question is, so where's Pandora? And then came the surprise response, was that she was still out and had not returned home. Now, being out after dark for young girls here is not okay. Talik is 16. Now, in normal circumstances, in a foreigner situation, if we were talking about a family in, I don't know, in Fort Myers, where I came from before coming here, a 16-year-old being able to be out at 8 o'clock would not really be much of a problem. But here, we like them to be in the house after dark. Now, this isn't just for them, it's for us too. We live 2 miles up a totally unlit road through lonely countryside, and we live 2 miles up that road, and it's not deemed to make a lot of sense to come back after dark. Now, this is almost another video subject, talking about driving in the dark in the Philippines, because the national highway is not actually lit, so you can be driving in total darkness because people are jealous of the amount that they have to pay on power, so light is at a premium after dark. Now that's coming from America, where there is such an incredible overuse of power, and everywhere is lit. The light pollution in any even small town in America would be great, and considered positively blazing here in the Philippines, where we live in the province. Well, my question was soon answered, because a knock came at the door, and it turned out to be Talik. We didn't actually see her because we're in the dining room, and Lovely had gone to answer the knock on the door, and she was let in, and Talik went straight into the bathroom and remained there for too long of a time, because she would know that we were all sitting having dinner, and her absence had been noted, and it was not good. So we waited and waited, and then finally Beth even starts trying to find places that she can look in and see what Talik could possibly be doing. So it didn't seem good. So I'll cut to the chase. We finally saw her come out, and she was wearing her mask in the house. And well, I promised you I'd cut to the chase and get to the short story. She had actually been involved in an accident on the motorcycle. Now that's what had made us a little bit concerned in the first place, because she came home with Jessica and James, and then at 5 o'clock her boyfriend not boyfriend came on a motorcycle, and they went off at 5, and she went out again. And then the next we heard was when she arrived back in again, and after taking 5 or 10 minutes in the bathroom, came out wearing a mask, and she wouldn't take it off. And then there's all kind of wrestling going on, and finally we get to see that actually her face was pretty badly beaten up. Now, as I've said, the warning about being out after dark, and who knows what's happened. And this really gets us to why I'm talking about the difference between foreigners and the Philippine way of life. It is the strangest thing to a foreigner to sit in on such a situation as this, highly charged, emotional, people being upset. I mean, as soon as I saw her face, I was upset, and then we want to know what happened, and she's not eager to tell us. She wasn't eager for us to see her face, which I suppose was understandable. Now here's where the difference is. As soon as I feel that in the West, as soon as the injuries were seen on the child, and of course I know she's 16, and they know everything at 16, but she's still a child to an old fart like me, and we're looking, and we want to know what has happened. Well, gradually it comes out that it was a motorcycle, and we still only found that the motorcycle hadn't crashed into someone, that it had come off, that the chain had come off, and I'm guessing that it locked up the back wheel and flung them off. Fortunately, it was on the unmade road going down. She didn't suffer any other damage at all, but her face was bad enough to certainly upset everybody. Now here's the difference. As soon as I see that, I am totally serious. And comments were made about this in one of our fun videos that we did of the dancing in the last couple of days, and somebody said, oh yeah, Beth will bring a lot of fun into the life and make Terence not so serious. So yes, I'm guessing I come across as very serious. Well, yeah, when I'm looking at Talik lick, and her left eye, she's going to have a black eye tomorrow. And she's got, you know, it's an abrasion. The top skin has been removed, and now it's a red patch. And she's got blows to, she obviously had blows to the head, and it was not good. Especially as we've had one child that is, well, that's the sister of Lovely. LJ is the older sister of Lovely, and she had been in an accident a couple of weeks ago. We never found out about the accident. We only found out that she was really not doing well and was talking deliriously and vomiting. And in the absence of being told that it was an accident, that she had received a blow to the head, we didn't know that it could be concussion. And then after she, believe it or not, after she was admitted to hospital, we found out from the father, who just mentioned it, not as a, he didn't say, hey, you know, maybe it was because she was in an accident and had a blow to the head. No, just kind of casually mentioned it. You didn't tell us that? So here's a difference that my friend Michael and I have our sanity reclamation talk every Sunday, where we try to erase the after effects of living as a foreigner in the Philippines, and we talk about the differences, and we both agree that it's the foreigners that have to change, but nevertheless it's a mighty challenge. Because here's Talik, getting back to Talik, here's Talik, and she is injured, you know, and this is a girl at 16, so injuries to the face are bad news. So she's bleeding from the mouth, her lips are very swollen, she's obviously had trauma to the side and to the head and here, and I'm looking at this and it's deadly serious, but everybody's laughing. If you're a foreigner and you're coming over here, don't tell me, don't sit there and say, oh well, you know, you can, they're only laughing for this or that. You will never get a handle on it, believe me. It's so very difficult to be listening to bad news, watching something that is a traumatic incident, and hear people laughing. And I often get comments, I field the comments on our channel, and I often get comments from people who say, "What? Why is everybody laughing?" When we went to see the little boy Jeremy, if you've been watching our videos of late, we went to see that little boy Jeremy. Jeremy's 99% paralyzed from the neck down, and his body is twisted. He was injured very, very early in life. They were unable to do anything about it, so they just lay him down, and he's been laying down on his back for all of his life, and he's 15 years old. And yet, so I'm looking at this and I'm visualizing what kind of a life this kid can have, and you know, without being over dramatic, I'm choking back the tears, you know. And Beth is very light and joking with the father, and they're laughing, and I just don't know how to handle it. No matter how often I hear it, I don't know how to handle it. And I know that it's me that has to handle it. But Filipinos handle the most traumatic emergencies in their lives, the most wretched conditions in their lives, when they have nothing. They can be on the verge of starvation. I'm not over-dramatizing this. This can be the case. We know because we built houses for people who have been living in what looked like a heap of trash, and there'd be a family with 4 people living in that, and it would just look like a load of stuff piled up and stood there with tarpaulin over it, and they're living there like that, and they're still able to smile, to laugh, to joke with you, in a condition that would just be simply impossible if it was in the West. So the boundaries are all different. The way that things are looked at is all different, and it's so different as to be impossible to describe. That's how different it is. And you have a lot of changes to make. When you come here, you better be ready to make some very serious changes. Now, you can go online and you can find in the Cebu area, you can find groups who are made up of expats, of foreigners, and they will be on there, and if you go on there often enough, you'll soon see for yourself what foreigners or expats have difficulty in understanding. And the truth is, as Michael and I spoke today on our sanity reclamation 2 hours, we both agreed that you will never understand it, because with understanding would come acceptance and seeing it as normal. For us, it will never be normal. It will never be normal to see someone, as we saw Talik today, in such a battered, her face, believe me, Beth took a video of it and she will post it, because it's a warning for people to make sure that the control over their children is enlightened. Yes, it's enlightened. It has to be so that it doesn't crush all of the creativity and the sense of responsibility out of the child, like is often happening in America now, that Americans coming over here that I speak to complain about what they call the nanny state, where a kid is not even allowed to walk 2 or 3 blocks to school unaccompanied. Now, you'll have great difficulty if you drive on the National Highway in Bohol. You will have a hard time understanding, accepting how on a narrow, for the most part, a narrow 2-lane highway that has all kinds of traffic on it. 10-wheelers are ferrying goods up and down that highway, and they hurtle along there. We've got white vans whose job it is to get you from A to B in the fastest, cheapest possible way. And boy, my standing joke about the white van drivers is that when they finish their training, which of course is non-existent, but let's pretend that there is training, that they have to do an internship on the Wall of Death at the circus because you take your life in their hands when you get on those vans. And they are hurtling up what I've come to describe sometimes as Thunder Road, which is like the Mad Max movies, where, I mean, they're just going. And yet, at the side of the road, under normal, non-pandemic times, no quarantine, none of that going on, where life is going along as normal, you will see small groups of children who surely can be no more than 6, and they're walking along arm in arm, as Filipino kids do. It's most charming. They walk along arm in arm like this along the side of that road with God knows what speed traffic is hurtling along right by the side of the road, and yet you don't see. You would think, oh my God, well kids must be being killed all the time, and they're not. So, boy, if I could really get a handle and really describe and show the way through this maze of how different life is here, if I could do that and package it up in a pill, I'd be a rich man. Be prepared for enormous change in yourself, and there's a very good reason for that. You are the foreigner, and I'm saying this even for Filipinos who are married to foreigners, that there's something that you have to understand, and that is that a great deal of the time your husband, partner, fiancé is in a state of almost total confusion, of just being able to understand how things can be evolving like they are. But it has to be accepted, and they have to let go, and they have to find the secret of happiness, which Filipinos definitely seem to have. As I said, we have, in our mission to help the less fortunate, we have helped people who, from a Western standard, would surely be at the point of suicide. I'm not exaggerating or dramatizing that, but Filipinos can face a way of living which would just be unreal to a foreigner. If you live in the West and you go around, you would not be able to believe it. Now, in closing, I'll say that when this quarantine nonsense is all over, when it's all gone and been handled and we're back to normal, and I mean back to normal, we will open up our guest house again, and we will invite people to come, and I can promise you without possible failure, that we will show you a life-changing experience. Come and spend a few days with us, you will never be the same. And I know that we have many visitors who did just that and went away thinking just that. Thanks for looking in. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was a help. Bye for now.